Used to want people to love me, so I learned how to sing. Then I thought I wanted money, so I could buy a nice thing. And when I found it, was as empty as could be. And now I'm staring at my face above a bathroom sink, saying is where I am now. It's the only thing I haven't found somehow. There are other places, there are a million pretty faces. I want peace, it's where I am now. I used to worry about the future, but the future never came. Tried living in the past, but never did quite feel the same. I used to think that there was a place I'd rather be. I got there enough times to realize that you are only ever here. That's when I found peace, it's where I am now. It's the only place I'll ever be. I found there are other places filled with a million pretty faces. I found
Okay, good morning guys, it's an early one. Amber from Family Life, thanks so much for tuning in. I am here at the Toronto International Airport and I'm doing this thing. I'm doing this thing that I've never done in my life and I'm excited to share this journey. I said goodbye to Frank and I am traveling alone for the first time in my adult life, for the first time ever. So I'm going to come back to you when I can talk without my mask on and give you the details. So in fact, I'm about to depart Canada on my very first solo trip. I am leaving the family at home and I am going on a celebration of sorts. Strange to be traveling without my family. I'm looking forward to this adventure, so I thought I would just give myself a little extra time. So we got here very early and we breezed through the baggage check, and my family does not know yet where I'm going. There is bets, there has been conversation, there has been chatter, because Mom would never do Disney without the family. And surprise! I'm going to Disney, guys. It is the 50th celebration at Disney, so I am celebrating 50 years around this earth too, so I thought what a better way to do this. But to do it without my family is going to be a bit of a difference. I'm hoping I can get through this challenge. I said to Frank, if I call on day 2 and ask you to book a flight, you are to say no. So I was alluding to the fact that I was maybe going west, staying within Canada. So this has kind of been a bit of a stretch for me. So going to one of my most favorite places and doing it alone, it's going to be different. We will take you along for the rest of the journey once we get there and tell you how easy the whole process was on travel day.
Dreams in the sand, remembering where we began. To see this empty canvas, the future and all that shadows turning into light, our eyes open wide. When we're together,
Your captain has left the seatbelt sign on. Please remain seated with your seatbelt signal.
This is home for the next week. I am just gonna get freshened up and unpack a little and then bring you along for my evening festivity. It's been an emotional trip. I promise I won't cry. This is very unusual for me, so this has been a bit of a hard trip. I've been emotional all day, so trying to reconcile my feelings of this big, beautiful room with 2 nice queen beds and occupying it by myself. So this feels very strange to me. So it's all I can do not to give Frank a quick call, my husband, and get him and my son on a flight down here to join me. That is not the purpose of this trip. This trip is a celebration, my 50th, celebrating 50 years here at Disney. We had kind of been alluding to the fact that I was heading out west and doing this solo vacation. They do not still know where I'm going. I've got a video chat with them later this evening. This is going to be a different vacation. I've never done Disney alone. I've never done a vacation alone. I've never flown or traveled by myself. This feels extremely strange. I'm very uncomfortable, and I can do this. I can get through this week. I'm certain of it. I have so much planned and so many things. It is absolutely gorgeous right now. It's 75 degrees Fahrenheit right now. I'm actually got this big sweater on and I'm dying. It's pool weather. But anyways, I'm going to give you a quick tour around. I am staying at the Port Orleans Riverside, and my room is in Magnolia Band. This is it. There's a nice little seating area here and 2 queen beds, which are quite lovely. Fridge, which is also one of my hacks. And the reality of it is I am not a pro by any means, but I have traveled to Disney enough to know what I like, what I don't like, and what works, and some of the little and one of the things that I like to do, and now with Amazon Prime, it's much easier to do, but I've used always this thing called Garden Grocer. So I got an email earlier today that my groceries that I ordered, which is just a case of water and some breakfast snacks and things like that, are in bell service. So I just have to give them a call and they'll bring them up here to me. Milk is not a thing for coffee down here, so I got some milk, and that was kind of my idea, and just kind of a few breakfast snackies before we start hitting the parks. So this is the bed space, obviously, and this is kind of like, this is the bath area, and I'm pleased to see that there is a bathtub in here. Most of the newer units only have showers, so, oh yeah, look at me. I can tell I've been all baby all afternoon. Oh my gosh, it was crazy when I landed and I got here. And anyways, I just wanted to share that first impressions of the magic. It's still here. Definitely Disney brings that little pitter in my heart. Definitely differences. The airport is really lacking the presence of the Disney Vacation now that the Magical Express is gone. So the Mears Connect is the bus service that was offering the Magical Express. So the idea is still the same. You can do a round trip here and back. I think it's $34, or you can do an express trip for $250. So you have to decide whether or not that money makes sense to be spending $250 for a direct. I did take the Sunshine Flyer, which is a very similar bus service that stopped at 5 different hotels prior to hitting here. So a lot of stop and go and a lot of swerving. So it got a little bit of a bus sickness. So, I mean, it is what it is, but it was only $17 each way. So $34. That would be per passenger. So if you got a family of 4, that can add up pretty quickly. So I don't know whether or not the Express would make more sense if you had a larger family, if that's a one-time fee for the entire party, or if that would be per person. It wouldn't be per person. That would be crazy. So anyways, something to think about getting here, or even just renting a car. I'm going to do my very best to try and not call the family and try and get them down here, because that is not the goal of this trip. So I treated myself to a little vacation for myself, to myself, by myself. And it's going to be a challenge. And so stay tuned. I will bring you more later in the week. Probably I've got a whole 45 minutes of sleep. I was so excited. I did not sleep last night and my day started at 3:30 this morning. So I'm a little bagged, but not too tired to hit the parks. So East Depot. Next bus is in 10 minutes. Heading over to Animal Kingdom. So they have these little transportation things here at each of the bus stops. Quiet. Not too many people are coming in. The parks are all leaving now. So this is good. Okay guys, so it is shortly after 6. I just got here and it took me a little better than an hour to drive here and get into the park. It took me a little while to get through the gates because today is my first day and I had an issue with my actual pass. I purchased my passes some time ago prior to COVID and purchased it at a Canadian price, and unfortunately as a result of that I ended up having to cancel our vacation several times. So they ended up making me pay the difference between those prices and current prices. So it was a little bit of an inconvenience, but they ended up comping me and giving me the actual pass for flights of passage. And then I've got a phone call with my family. So that is my next thing. Oh, and also too, just a quick FYI, make sure that if you want to ride Kilimanjaro Safari, the last safari takes off at 4:45. All right, so. I am entering Pandora World now, and I want to do the Navi River, and then I'm going to go over and do Pandora. So yeah, just so you know, 95 minutes for Navi is not happening. It's way too long for that ride. It's a lovely ride, but certainly not worth 95 minutes. That was Flights of Passage. I just literally walked up and on. So it's a posted 105-minute wait, and I just passed that line, so it was really good. I hope I don't get sick on this one. Okay, so I'm just having a late dinner here at Animal Kingdom at Satouli's Canteen, and I ordered the tofu bowl. It's not very sweet. It's actually very yummy. I recommend that. But this tofu bowl is actually really good. I'm full. So I just finished riding the Avatar, and it's a simulating ride and a banshee. I'm gonna try at some point to ride that ride without closing my eyes, because I have not been able to ride that ride without closing my eyes yet. It's really hard not to get motion sick on that ride, because it's so worth it. I would definitely pay for the fast pass line. It's worth it.
I've only ever had the two. That's nice.
Okay, back at the room. I am beat. I am calling it a night. I'm all tucked into bed. Final thoughts for the day, travel day number 1. I'm just so happy to be back here and be traveling again. I know that everybody is kind of anxious about traveling, and I too was the same way, and I just kind of wanted to give you my final thoughts on that. I was very surprised at how easy I felt the process was. The boarding and the checking in and the security. I had all of my paperwork in order, which was just a negative COVID test, which was conducted by a telehealth nurse through Switch Health, and it was easy. I ordered the rapid test online through my Aeroplan miles, and I was not an Aeroplan member prior to that. I just registered, and I was able to purchase the package at a discounted rate. So I think it was $79 or something, and that was for 2 tests. So that gives me my test back into Canada now that Canada has loosened up some of the restrictions. PCR test is not necessary, just a rapid test. So I will be able to use that one package for both departure and arrival. It was pretty simple. They do have a app that you can load all of your information onto, ArriveCan, which is coming back into Canada, and I'll have to make sure that I do that COVID test prior to coming back into Canada. So other than that, it's really not as difficult as I kind of had anticipated, and the anxiety that I had kind of built up to traveling, the concerns of the crowds and the people and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just wearing my mask. I know a lot of people aren't wearing their mask here, and I choose to kind of still, anytime that we're in a populated area, I'm still going to choose to wear my mask, but that's a personal choice. But other than that, the actual traveling during this this crazy time is not as bad as I thought it was. So if you've kind of been sitting on the fence and not really interested in doing it, the ease, the airports have kind of gotten things down. It's pretty slick. You do have to give yourselves a little bit longer than normal to get through. They recommend anywhere from 3 to 4 hours to clear customs and such. My flight wasn't until 10 o'clock this morning, and I arrived at the airport at 5. I was a little more than the 3 or 4 hours. Of course, it's always that kind of just fear of the unknown. I just didn't know. But other than that, I had a beautiful conversation with my family. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get the connection that I'd wanted to with all of them, and I miss them terribly. Being here without them just doesn't feel right. I'm going to try and muster through this entire week without them, and just, you know, bring you along for the journey. I'm certainly not bringing you the tips and tricks as far as a pro goes. I'm literally bringing you along for the journey of what our family loves to do and some of the favorite things that we've done. I do have a few little tricks up my sleeve, a few surprises throughout the week, but other than that, I think if you just want to come along and enjoy this family vacation without the family. I'm here celebrating my 50th for the 50th. Disney is celebrating their 50th anniversary this year, and so it just seemed like a natural response to be here too for my 50th. So I hope you come along and enjoy this series with me. I'm going to have a lot of fun capturing some video and hopefully finding some new friends along the way. Thanks so much for hanging out, guys. Tomorrow we are off to Epcot. So the good thing is about Epcot, it's not a rope drop park, meaning that there's not really any real high ticket or high busy attractions that you need to get to quick and early in the morning. The biggest mistake that you can make here at Disney is sleeping in. And just to get to those parks early, just to beat those crowds and beat those lines, because it just gets too busy later in the afternoon. And I'll decide whether or not Genie Plus makes sense for me later in the week, but for now I'm just going to enjoy a lot of the shows and a lot of the kind of not the high ticket and not the popular sites. So that's my plan, and it's always been our plan here at Disney when we come with the family, even with the boys. It is not something they want to try to ride the hot ticket rides as well, but that's not necessary. They certainly won't stand in the line to do that. And does the Genie Plus make sense now that Fast Pass is no longer? I mean, at the cost of what it is for one person, sure, but if you've got a family of 6 people or 7 people, it gets costly, so it may not make sense for you and your family. So just enjoy the trip the best you can with what you've got, and just enjoy it the best you can. So anyways, guys, thanks for hanging out. Until next time, stay safe and keep living.
It's enough to lift the human spirit, set the song inside you soaring, and the whole wide world will hear
it. It's the only thing I haven't found somehow. There are other places, there are a million pretty faces.